Good evening. This is an NBC News special report. I'm Frances Rivera in New York, and we are coming on the air right now with breaking news. President Trump is aboard Air Force One on his way to Davos, Switzerland, when after takeoff, the crew aboard the plane identified a minor electrical issue, is how it's being described. And out of an abundance of caution, they are turning around and landing at Joint Base Andrews. There they will be boarding a new aircraft. Joining us now on the phone is White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell. Kelly, bring us up to date with the latest on what we know.
Well, good evening, Francis. Air Force One has now landed at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, and that happened just a couple of minutes ago. And now, as we understand it, there will be a transfer to a different aircraft that will then become Air Force One. That designation is in place only when the president is aboard an aircraft. There are a fleet of United States aircraft. One of the big issues here is this is obviously a very sophisticated aircraft with all of the security components. And what we have been told through Caroline Leavitt and the pool of reporters traveling on this trip with the president is that there was a minor electrical issue. Is that something that can be quickly addressed on the ground, or is it something that will require more detailed period of time? There are always support planes that transport a lot of additional equipment like vehicles, the limousines the president rides in, other equipment. But if they have to move everything from the first Air Force One that was on the trip trying to take the president from Washington to Davos, Switzerland, will they have to deplane not only all the personnel, and there are quite a number of, it's a full plane with a full complement of senior advisors, Secret Service, the Air Force team that flies the plane and provides service, as well as a full complement of media in the media cabin. If they have to deplane all of those people and get all of their belongings that are underneath, that could take some time. It's important to note that Air Force One is an old aircraft, about 40 years old, and that obviously puts some pressure on issues like maintenance. And so that is part of what's at play here. There is a new Air Force One that is in a long process, long delayed, costing billions of dollars to fully outfit it, and that is behind schedule. You may recall that the Middle Eastern nation of Qatar has gifted to the United States an aircraft that could be retrofitted to become another in the fleet of presidential aircraft. That has remained in great secrecy since that gift was made. It's controversial because it's a gift from a foreign nation, but it speaks to the issue of airplanes, even the most sophisticated, cannot fly indefinitely. There has to be upgrades and maintenance. There have been other issues over the years. First and foremost, the president is safely back on the ground, and that is the chief concern of the government, and being able to get him to his destination for the World Economic Forum would be the next major priority. So there may be some delay, some time. We don't know more specifics at this point, but that gives you a sense, Francis, of where things stand.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.